welcome back to the State Champs studio for another episode of Extra Innings. I'm your host, Elizabeth here with our baseball analyst, Mark Stroia. We had another exciting week of high school baseball in the books with some good weather.
Yeah, Liz, looks like the weather finally turned. The forecast for the future is going to be good, so hopefully this warm weather is here to stay.
Absolutely. We got out and got all of the highlights, so let's jump right into our first game. Grand Ledge took the win against Okemos in both games, 2-1 in the first, 4-0 in game two. Grand Ledge actually handed Okemos their first two losses in the league. So, what did you see in that one?
Yeah, Grand Ledge used some good pitching to hand Okemos, like you said, their first two losses in league play by a score of 2-0 and 4-0. Caleb Estrada squared one up and sent it over the left field fence for a 3-run bomb to put the Ledge up 3-0. Later in the inning, grandson of legendary coach Pat O'Keefe, Aiden O'Keefe, sent a hot shot to first base, scoring Nathan Moeller on a fielder's choice, putting Grand Ledge up 4-0. That's all the offense they needed as they went on to win 4-0, sweeping the two-game set.
Next up, Novi took the win against Salem 5-1. Really, everything's coming together offensively and defensively for this Novi team.
Yeah, Liz, Bolden Fernsler, Brent Reed, and Andrew Abler each had RBI hits in their 5-1 win over Salem last week. Andrew Abler was also solid on the hill for the Wildcats, securing the win. Watch out for Novi this year as they won 6 of their last 7, with their only loss coming to their rival Northville. So they're starting to heat up. They're playing some good baseball, and just keep your eye on Novi.
And you talked a little bit about it, that good pitching. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show. But let's move on to our last game. Ann Arbor father Gabriel Richard beats Riverview Gabriel Richard 2-0 in 8 innings in game 1 of the doubleheader. 16 strikeouts. I mean, that's a lot, even in 3-2 ball.
Absolutely. So this game was all about Ann Arbor Richard senior Nate Crossman. The senior Wayne State commit through a complete game, 8-inning shutout, allowing only 4 hits while striking out 16 in 8 innings of work. Ann Arbor Richard scored a pair of runs in the top of the 8th, and Crossman recorded his 16th strikeout to secure the win. This Crossman kid, I've had him a couple times. I umpired their game early in the season against Riverview Richard as well as Milan, and I think he pitched both games. This kid's really good. I mean, he's got a fastball that he can heat up in the mid-80s. He's got a wicked curveball. He pounds the strike zone. Yeah, this kid's got a bright future. Not only can he pitch, he bats 3 in the lineup, and I don't remember him getting out. I mean, really, I'm sure he did, but it seems like he was on base all the time, and he just, can really hit the ball as well as pitch.
And, how important is that to just have that reliable player on the team?
Yeah, the other guys feed off that stuff, and so when you have a couple studs and they can hit, they can pitch, they can play the field, that really picks up a lot of guys on the other team, and they feed off of that. And in high school baseball, you get a good core of 3 or 4 stars. You can go a long way. He's not the only Crossman star on this team. His younger brother is the starting catcher. His name's Evan Crossman. As a freshman, he's already one of the best catchers in the state. He bats number 2 in the lineup right in front of his brother. When I was working the Milan game, umpiring the game, I saw him made a play. He made a catch on a foul ball at Eastern Michigan where he was in between like the dugout and the fence, ran full speed, slid feet first into the wall and caught the ball. I couldn't believe it. It was just a great play. And this kid's just a freshman, so he's got a bright future. And, Richard's going to be tough to beat with those 2 guys, that's for sure. Yeah,
and as a freshman in that leadership position as a catcher, that's just so impressive.
Right, strong up the middle with pitching, catching. Their shortstops really well. They got a good outfield. So, it's going to be a hard team to beat in the Catholic League.
And staying with the Catholic League, they play 3-2 baseball. So, Mark, what are some of the pros and cons of playing that type of baseball?
Yeah, first off, they've been playing 3-2 for a long time, since the 69-70 school year. I played at Cabrini High School in the mid-80s, and we played 3-2 ball. So it's got a lot of advantages, not very many disadvantages. The disadvantage would be pretty much for the hitters, because once you get a strike on you, you're already in the hole. But basically, it saves on pitchers' arms, especially with the pitch count nowadays. It speeds up the game. The consensus is with MLB this year with the speed up rules, people like that. Same with the Catholic League. You can play a double header within 3.5 hours sometimes. A lot of times In the public school, you have games, especially early in the season, where the second game gets canceled because of darkness, and if it's a league game, you have to make that up. So, I've done games myself where a team like down south, Adrian, had to come up to Salem just to finish 3 innings. So they have to pay the umpires over again. They have to get the buses for like a 3-inning trip. Mm-hmm. So that's a big advantage. Also, as an umpire, we really like it because, like I said, the games are a lot quicker. They move faster. So, it's well liked. Some of the public school kids aren't as used to it, and usually if they play a non-league game, if it's a home game for the Catholic school, they usually play the 3-2 baseball. So, one negative that people would have on it is the bunt rule, because people would say, if you have 1 strike on you and you bump the ball and it's foul, you would be out. But there's a special rule for the Catholic League that if you do have 1 strike, you're allowed 1 bunt that goes foul or missed where you're not out. So then the second time, if you were to bunt, you would be out. So really, it's a lot of advantages, and they get more games in. And I would just like to say a special shout out to umpire friend of mine, Mike Gentry. He actually gave me the information of when it started in the 69-70 school year. Mike's been a long time Catholic League umpire in 3 sports. I've worked a lot of games with Mike. If there's an official in Michigan who has more state championships under his or her belt than Mike, I'd like to meet him because he's had a ton, and here's a guy that does a lot of clinics and things like that. But Mike actually came up with this with stat for me, and I appreciate it, Mike. Thanks, buddy.
We just talked a little bit about Nate Crossman, who is one of the best pitchers in the state, but there's a lot of them that we really haven't gotten a chance to talk about. So who are some of those pitchers that you want to give a little shout out to? Yeah,
there's some exceptional pitchers this year in the state of Michigan. Jason Ladd, the coach here, has a really strong pitching staff led by 2 seniors. Owen Easley, who started the season with a no-hitter against Fowlerville. David Zilch finished last year with a 9-1 record. Okay, let's go up north to Frankenmuth, where they have Drew Titsworth. He has committed to Clemson, and he has many MLB teams interested in him as well. Last season, he pitched 49 innings, allowing only 29 hits, and along with 95 strikeouts. Next, we'll go down to the southwestern part of the state with Watervliet. Tyson Williams next year will be off to Hope College on a football scholarship. He's a 4-year starter in baseball, a 3-sport athlete, and also has a lot of academic awards. But he's been a starter on the baseball team for 4 years, and he's an excellent pitcher for that team down there. Right next door in Paw Paw, we have Jake Hindenach. According to his coach, he heats it up between 82 and 88 miles an hour with a wipeout slider. And also we want to say a special shout out to Seahome Nick Scheinfield, who threw back-to-back no-hitters in his first 2 outings of the season.
We also want to give a shout out to Liggett, who finally beat Orchard Lake St. Mary's win streak of 84 games.
Yeah, it was an amazing streak. It came to an end. They still have to play Northville. They just played Liggett. So, if there's a team that's going to break the streak, I would think it would have been one of those 2 teams. And congratulations to Liggett for ending the streak. I'm sure those kids were happy. And, Orchard Lake, I'm sure will start back up, and we'll see what happens.
We're going to step aside for this week's In the Dugout with Kalamazoo Central's head coach.
Can you talk about the competition level in your area? I mean, your district alone, such good baseball in your region.
Yeah, I mean, if you expand to our region, it's crazy. In our district alone, we have Portage Central, Portage Northern, Matawan, us. Right. Sometimes Gull Lake gets thrown in. Sometimes St. Joe gets thrown in. As soon as we get out of our district, then we're facing people like Battle Creek, Lakeview.
Right.
Grand Ledge. It's really difficult. We've had just outstanding talent in our league for years with Stevensville Lakeshore, Battle Creek Lakeview, the Portages and Matawans, and even Niles has had some teams back in the day that were in here that were outstanding. Gull Lake, it's just really competitive week in and week out with our conference schedule, and we've challenged ourselves in my entire career with playing extremely difficult non-league competition as well. This year we have Parchment, Vicksburg, Jackson Lumen Christi, Hackett, all teams right there that are already ranked in the state that are non-league games. So we challenge ourselves, even if they're a little smaller school, it doesn't make a difference. There's good baseball. Waterville's on our schedule as well. They're a small school. They got a great coach, great program. We like playing people like that. So a couple of other non-league games this year. We're going to go match up in a tournament up at Cornerstone with Olivet, who had an outstanding year last year and is having an even better year this year. And on the other end of that bracket is Brighton and Grand Ledge. So everywhere we're turning. Canton, we go play them every year. There's just somebody waiting to take you down, so you got to have your A game ready every single day.
To check out that full interview, just head on over to the State Champs YouTube page. All you need to do is search State Champs Net. All right, Mark, we're getting to that halfway point in the year. So what are you really thinking that you're going to see in the weeks to come?
Well, as the games progress, as we get later into the season, the intensity of each game is going to pick up as teams battle with each other to see who's going to win the division or who's going to win the league. And so there's going to be a lot of good baseball to come, and hopefully the weather stays nice. And if you're not doing anything, get out to a baseball game in your area and go check out some action.
Absolutely. We're so excited. That's all we've got for this week's Extra Innings, but make sure you guys tune in next week.
State Champs Extra Innings is presented by Lawrence Technological University. Be curious. Make magic. Visit ltu.edu. Extra Innings is also brought to you by the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. The Michigan Army National Guard, a proud sponsor of the MHSAA. The Michigan High School Baseball Coaches Association. For information on awards, clinics, rankings, and this year's All-Star Games, visit mhsbca.org. The Detroit Athletic Club Foundation Male and Female Athlete of the Year Awards. Who will be this year's award winners? Find out live June 5th, only on the State Champs Sports Network.